Welcome in to episode 12 of Outside the Law, the Outlaws Postseason podcast. Colby Smith, and I'm super excited to be joined today by my good friend and only on a superhero last summer, Jacoby Dale. Jacoby, it's been a while. Catch us up on things. How's everything going at college? How's your year going?
Everything's been good, just trying to get back in the flow of things back at Wayne State. This is my last year, so just trying to make sure that I'm the best version of myself, on the field, in the classroom, because, my college career is coming to an end soon, so I just want to make sure I got all my chips in order.
Well, and talking about it being your last year, what's the feeling and thought process like there? What's your plan for after the year ends, and what's kind of on your mind at the moment?
Really with it being my last year, I just want to make sure I play with leave nothing left on the field, just want to make sure that I prepare the best I can. I go out there and think the game mentally better than I have before. For the future, I'm just trying to make sure that I graduate on time, which shouldn't be a problem. And just make sure that I'm putting myself in the right direction to do what I want to do later on in life.
And in terms of that, what's your degree plan been like at Wayne State, and what are you ultimately hoping to do post graduation?
So I just graduated last May with my bachelor's in sport management. This year I'll finish with my master's in sport administration. Really the goal with that, I'm just hoping that later on I could work in professional sports in a sense. I'm really interested in scouting, but it's hard. So just want to make sure I can get in where I fit in. Later on, I definitely want to get into like high school athletic directing, just working with high school kids and just trying to grow the game that way.
Well, and in terms of the way your education has gone in the classroom, do you have any sort of things that you wish you had learned so far in your tenure, or has Wayne State been exactly what you thought it'd be?
Uh, Education wise, I've always been a pretty good student. My dad was a teacher. My mom was always big on education. So stuff like that never really wasn't has always been the forefront for me, just making sure I do well academically. But Wayne State, honestly, it was the best fit for me. It was very weird trying to transition because I went to a junior college, like a lot of my teammates did this summer, and I know how it was trying to find a new school. And I was just glad I was able to find a school in my hometown, so which was beautiful.
Well, with what you said there, I'll jump back to you said your dad was a teacher, your mom was big on education. How did having that in your house growing up really motivate you to not only do well in the classroom, but also just kind of in life, put your strong foot forward?
Right. Really just taught me resilience and that, I know that a lot of people try and say like, oh, like I don't want to do this, but it was one of those things having two parents kind of on you about your education, kind of making sure I was on it with my athletics. Like they didn't let me stray away from too much. So having that kind of always kept me on the right path. So now as an adult, I can do it without thinking, so it made it a lot easier to kind of figure this out as I'm older. But when I was younger, I'm like, why are they so hard on me? I'm like, man, I feel like I'm doing good in school right now. How am I going to do better? But that's just them teaching me that don't settle for anything. So,
And how do you feel like your family has been such a big part of your journey and getting you to where you are today?
oh man, my mom, she's been incredible. You say if I'm a superhero, she's Superwoman because she did everything for me. Making sure I'm at all my games when I was younger, uh, playing outside with me. She's my rock for sure. Just knowing having her in my corner, my dad before he passed away, he was always a big part. My aunts, they pull up to all the games when they can. They're out there screaming loud and recording videos for me to watch later on. That's a big reason I wanted to stay in Detroit. There was a lot of other schools that I've had options to go to out of junior college, but being at home and making sure that I'm able to have my family nearby, like my nephew, my brother. So stuff like that was a big reason why I stayed close to home too.
Well, and going into all that, the whole community college to going to a four-year school like Wayne State, that transition, what was that really like for you? And when you say options, what was kind of, the thought process there coming out of junior college?
So going into junior college, it was just like, okay, I know what the goal is. Let's get here, play well for 2 years, and the rest will figure itself out. Like if you do that, That's all you got to do and graduate. Because I had a few friends, when we were in junior college, like they didn't graduate, so they had to go the NIIA route instead of NCAA. And I felt like they were just as good as players, if not better than me in a chance. You know what I'm saying? So it was making sure that I put myself in the right position so I had no doubts where I wanted to go. Um, the biggest thing I would say, like the transition wise, it was a little nerve-wracking because like you go from a spot where you kind of solidified yourself at your junior college to, okay, you're back at the bottom of the totem pole again. And that was also kind of a weird transition, but I knew internally, like the best thing I could do if I wanted to get on the field was be a good teammate. So that's honestly initially what happened. I just kind of stayed diligent. I knew my game was good, but they're going to see it eventually. I knew the coaches would see it. So,
You mentioned that whole you had teammates that you thought might have been just as good a players, better than you sort of thing. Is
mhm.
somebody who's talking about going to that scouting aspect. Just kind of talk me through a little bit about how that kind of comes to be that you might have a player who doesn't get particularly where they want to be just because baseball is so hard in terms of that scouting sort of the game.
Yeah. Really, it's about making yourself the best version of yourself every day. If you go into it with that kind of mentality, you'll never go unseen because if you're playing the game the right way, coaches, scouts, anybody's going to see that. You know, I have a big issue where I can get really hard on myself, but the thing I feel like I do well in combating that is that when I'm in that funk, my teammates can help bring me up. So, having guys that I trust around me are like, okay, I'm upset with myself, but let me cheer him on. I'm gonna forget about what I just did. But another thing also, like guys who kind of get overlooked, I would say sometimes they don't put themselves in the best position to move on later on because they're just focusing so much on that baseball aspect of things. And like I understand it. Like ball is definitely life. But at the same time, you can't forget about what's going to get you to that next step. So just like making sure that they stayed on their grades, like that was me being a better teammate. Like, okay, that next year, I'm like, hey, bro, are you getting your homework done? Like, let's make sure we can have these options when we get out of here. So,
And in terms of somebody who might be looking to make that jump from, high school ball, trying to go high up NCAA, might not be getting those looks, what kind of advice would you give to them per se?
bet on yourself. Find a good junior college near you because I honestly say, especially now with this new ruling, like you get the 2 free years, I'm pretty sure. Go there, make yourself better, and then put yourself out to these NCAA schools because a lot of times it's easy to get overlooked. But the thing is, you got to stay diligent. If you are interested in schools, email them directly. Like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there because they'll tell you kind of the game plan if they think you're good of how they want to get you. Most of the time, they're going to want you to come to camps and different stuff like that. But as long as you do that and then you perform like you know you can perform, the other results will happen. So stay diligent, find a school that helps you, or just go somewhere for 2 years that you know is going to make you better and grind it out.
As somebody who's now been around this game and this level for a couple of years playing at Wayne State, what do you
Mhm.
think coaches are particularly looking for in, college ball players these days?
Oh, that's a good question. Obviously someone who can hit catch, run a little bit, but someone who can lead without always having to use their voice, someone who can lead with using their voice, and those who just like to do the dirty work. A lot of these coaches, I feel like, especially my coaches at Wayne State, we like a certain type of player. Like in Detroit, we really talk about grit a lot with the lines and stuff like that. That's what we look for. You want to be a gritty player. You want to be the guy who's going to try and take that extra base. You're going to dive in the outfield. You're going to make that play deep in the six hole and at least try and make the play. Even if you don't make it, at least try, stuff like that. And obviously, most guys who are even close to getting to this level, they can do the other three. They can catch, they can hit, they can run a little bit. So the game is going to be the game. It's just how do you fix those little intangibles to make you separate from the rest of everybody else you're playing with?
Well, I want to kind of circle back and stay on that whole topic of the community college route. I know a lot of guys that you played with last summer, as you said, kind of took that route. You've been around guys who did it. You did it yourself. What do you think are some of the biggest positives that you can get out of a community college experience, and how truly difficult is it to make that jump after the fact?
Okay. I would say like the junior college route is the best way for someone who isn't so sure of themselves to find that confidence, or the guy who thinks he's full, like he's the guy to humble himself a little bit because there's going to be guys just as good as you at JUCO and you think this is going to be a breeze. You still got to work hard, find a way to better yourself and stay humble enough to be like, okay, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but I can still get there. And then it also allows you to build that like shorter sense of community because it's like at a 4-year school, it's that process. And a lot of times guys get redshirted as freshmen going in. At a JUCO, I mean, everybody's kind of the same age. They're only 1 or 2 years in school. So the option to play is there. You just got to put yourself in the position to stand out. So I feel like that's a really good thing. You can play as a young player, and that's all it really is reps. And once you get enough reps, that's when you can kind of separate yourself because the game shows it. The game will show all your flaws and your talents.
Well, and how grateful are you that you ultimately ended up taking that route before moving on to Wayne State after the fact?
Oh, I loved it. It definitely helped me mature in a sense because I knew that the game wasn't honestly going to last forever because I saw a lot of people who I played junior college with just not get the opportunity to move on at the next level. And that was eye-opening for me. Like I knew I had the talent to do it, but there was always that little sense of doubt, like, will the team that I want me, like the schools I want to go to see the player I am? And that was always something in the back of my head and kept me hungry to go for more.
Well, and when you first looked at Wayne State, I know you said you wanted to stay close to home, but what ultimately drove you to go there as opposed to anywhere else?
I'm not even gonna lie. Actually, I did not want to stay home. I wanted to get as far away from Detroit as I possibly could. But the thing that kind of threw it off there, like I had some other offers and some stuff like academically, like when I was like signing up to go to the schools didn't work out. But Wayne was always the school that felt like they wanted me. And that's always a big thing. Like you want to go where you're wanted. Like my coach, my head coach, Ryan Kelly, he was diligent. He called me a few times on the phone and we had some really good conversations. And even on my visit there, like I grew up in Detroit. Like when I was in high school, like our football camps used to always be at Wayne State. So I knew fairly much about Wayne State. And like my mom, she went to school at Wayne State for some time. So it was always the school that felt like was right here. But I necessarily didn't know about it from the athletic standpoint. I just knew about it from kind of the schooling point. So that's where it kind of wasn't like that attractive of a school for me. But after meeting my coaches, after going and seeing how the program was like built, I knew it was the place for me because not only was it a winning program, it was a program that was like built upon this city. And I love being from my hometown. I love being from Detroit. Uh, and that's something that resonated with me. Like, dang, I could stay home, be close to my family, but represent my city being someone from the city. And that's something you don't usually get. We have a lot of guys from Canada, like the west side of the state, and even some guys from like not too far Metro Detroit area. So just having that, it honestly means a lot more just being, born in Detroit. I didn't go to high school in Detroit, but just having that kind of feeling of, okay, this is my home, that means a lot to me. And that's another reason why I was like, yeah, Wayne State's the fit for me.
Well, how important is that to you, or how often does that cross your mind when you're jogging out there between the lines, just knowing, you're representing the whole area of Detroit?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's a great feeling because not everybody gets to do this. And I know a lot of people who are wearing Detroit on their heart at different schools. I get to do it at home. And that's a beautiful thing for me.
And also talking about mindset behind things, whether it be practice, whether it be a game day, what kind of just things do you regularly do to keep your head right? And yeah, what usually is just kind of on your mind in season?
In season, I'm trying to free my mind as much as possible and just try and stay relaxed and stay in the moment. A lot of times, like I'm a big overthinker, so I'll be like, okay, what is this pitcher gonna throw me here? This, and that, and that can at times cloud my reasoning when I'm at the plate. That can cloud my reasoning in the field. So it's just like for me, doing a lot of breath work, breathing, trying to stay at peace, at bay, and then just putting myself back in the moment, realizing this is just a small step in what I'm going to do in my life. And remembering that to have fun with this every single day. And if I'm not doing that, then I know it's usually already going to feel like a longer day at the yard than it should. So just staying free, staying positive, you know, especially this being my last year, I'm trying to have as much fun as possible with my teammates. So
What are some of your favorite things to do away from baseball?
watch movies, uh, hang with friends. I'm a big, I'm a loner at times, but I can be in a lot of social settings. You know, I'm very involved with my fraternity at school, so that's a big thing too. So I stay busy with stuff to do, but at the same time, I'm gonna enjoy my free time and just stay at home, watch a couple movies, TV shows. And I'm not a real big game guy, but I'll watch people play the game.
What's the go-to movie series or what's the go-to you're watching TV wise right now?
Watching right now, I'm I watch like Criminal Minds just to chill out. Movies, my favorite movie all time is Space Jam, but I can't watch that all the time because then I'll run it dry. But that's my go-to movie if I had to.
Well, and besides all those things that you do to keep your mind right away from baseball, I mean, just kind of tell me a little bit about you. Growing up playing baseball, I know you played some other sports too. Just what's kind of your background been like? What are some of your favorite memories? I mean, to this point in your life.
Right. Okay, I got a few. So for me growing up, I was born in Detroit, Michigan, but me and my mom settled in Roseville, Michigan, and we're on like third, fourth grade. And that's really where I built like a big sense of community. All my friends growing up, we were all athletes playing sports, I swear, all year round. So athletics for me has always been like a given. Like I felt like at home, at peace when I had got a ball in my hand. Even my mom jokes now, like when I was 2, 3 years old, all I did was run around with the ball in my hand. So it was like it was kind of destined to be for me to be an athlete to some sense. Middle school, I played. Actually, my first sport was basketball. I played that until about my freshman year of high school. My high school, we would have like 100+ kids try out for the basketball team. And I remember I didn't make it my freshman year, and I was like, dang, am I not good no more? But I was thankfully awarded the opportunity to play varsity baseball as a freshman. So that's kind of what put me like, okay, maybe baseball is my path. I didn't want to even play football in high school until the football coaches like found me and were like, dude, you need to come out. I think you'll be a good player. And after all my friends started playing too, I was like, okay, I might as well give it a shot. Love football. I actually had more football offers leaving high school than I did baseball offers. Even Wayne State was an offer for me coming out of high school, but I just always knew I was a baseball player in my heart. So kind of with that, some favorite memories. I remember 13U travel ball, playing under the lights, making like my first big diving catch, sliding through the ground. Here in Michigan, we get fish flies, and they were rampant there. I probably slid through 100 and something fish flies. They were all over my uniform, but I just remember making that catch, kind of saving the game. There's another moment in high school. This is when I was really like, okay, maybe I'm kind of good at this baseball thing. We were playing Warren Mount High School. I was a sophomore. I would start every occasionally, but I always used to start. We have a guy from my high school. He's in the Giants organization now. And whenever he would pitch, I would play center field. So I was ready this day. Kid, like in the top of the seventh, hit a bomb, dead center field. I remember I laid out full Superman, caught the ball, got up, threw the kid out at first. And then I was like, wow, like that was the first big play where I was like, okay, maybe I need to keep working, keep training, stay diligent with this baseball stuff because I don't know if I can make that play on a lot of other fields. Like, so that was like my first real eye-opening experience.
Well, in all of last summer, you hinted at it already, got the opportunity to make some big plays at Demaski Field for the Outlaws. Just tell me about last summer, what the experience was like of playing in Oneonta and being an Outlaw.
That was amazing. My whole college experience, I wanted to go away and go play some summer baseball. Last year was kind of like the first year where it felt like it was the right time to, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I love my teammates out there in Oneonta. I love being in the city, and I just loved out being out there making plays. Like it just felt so effortless and easy to play with those guys and be an athlete on that field, knowing the history. What made it so much better playing at Damaski was knowing like, wow, like it used to be a Tigers affiliate. Like that felt good to me too because that's hometown ties. The people in Oneonta, the fans were great. They always showed love. I can always attest to that. Like I knew fans that knew my name every day, and that was a beautiful thing because, I was just there for a summer. The fact that they even took the time to remember my name was such a beautiful thing to me. And I would really just say that anyone who doesn't or hasn't thought about going to the PGCBL needs to.
Well, and you took over a big leadership role for that team last summer. What was that like for you just to kind of shoulder that load and kind of be the guy everybody really looked up to?
Uh, it wasn't too much, The last 2 years at Wayne State, I was a captain. I'm not a captain this year. I stepped down. Kind of just based off how the team was this year. But being a leader and helping guys out is something that I feel like just comes naturally to me, especially being one of the oldest, if not the oldest guy on the team last year. I had a lot of wisdom to give, and that's what I just wanted to do. I knew there was a lot of freshmen and sophomores playing with me, and I wanted to make sure that they knew how this game goes and that don't take it too serious, take stuff for face value, and just go out there and play the game and have fun. So stepping into that leadership role wasn't really nothing new to me, but it was something that I was glad guys felt comfortable enough to come up to me, ask me questions, and just being there if guys needed help on anything.
Well, and what was the experience like playing for Keaton and Joe?
Oh, that was fun. I grew up with Joe. Uh, we actually like played like he was a little older, but we played together when we were younger. So that was easy. They allowed me to be myself out there. And, at times I was like, man, I'm playing every single day. And I'm like, I'm kind of tired, but just knowing that they had that belief in me to know that I was the best person to be out there, I love that feeling. And I take that kind of responsibility and accountability with me. Like, okay, you're going to put me out here. I'm going to make whatever play I can for this team tonight. So that was a lot of fun. They kept it really loose and laid back, allowed guys to kind of feel like they are their own man and they can make their own decisions to a sense like because we are young men and we're trying to figure this baseball thing out. So being able to have that open communication and not feel like you're going to be scolded or necessarily nervous about talking to your coach about stuff, which I know a lot of guys go through when they go back to school because their coaches are that authoritative figure. I would say Joe and Keith made it feel like they were players, but they just wore the different hat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And what were some of your favorite memories from being an outlaw last summer?
Uh, ooh, the bus rides for sure. Hanging out with Jay Ross and Chase. Those are my guys for sure this summer. A lot of the other guys. Just going to get pizza off Main Street. That used to be cool. Uh, Going to what was that? I think it was Applebee's. There's a few nights we went to Applebee's. That place was really good out in Oneonta. So stuff like that. Those are some stuff I'm always gonna remember. Just being out in a different area. In Detroit, it's the city. It's literally city life. It was nice to kind of take a step back, look outside and see some hills and all the mountains and the trees. That was beautiful. So those are some stuff I'm really gonna miss about this summer.
Well, and you mentioned that anybody that, wants to find a spot to play summer baseball should go to the PGCBL. But why
Mm.
specifically, if you had to tell someone, hey, go to Oneonta, what would you say would be the reason why?
If I was going Oneonta, historic baseball field, you're playing where some legends played. You're playing near Cooperstown where baseball started. Like, how can you not be kind of romantic about that? You're gonna have some coaches who kind of allow you to be yourself. You're gonna meet some people who are some absolute dogs in their own right when it comes to playing this game. And compared to some other summer ball places, it just allows you to be you out on the field. They're not going to necessarily try and change your game or add too much to your game. It's going to be play your game at the best of your abilities. If we win, great. If we lose, let's learn from it.
Well, now I'd be reminiscent not that we've kind of talked about you to this point, talked about last summer. You started your season last week, like you said, your last year with Wayne State. How's things been going so far for you guys, and what are you just looking forward to the rest of the spring?
Yeah, I'm just super excited to be out there with my guys. Uh, last week, wasn't our best week, but we learned a lot of stuff about ourselves. Then that's what you want to do going into the first week. I think we have a lot of talent going in. Absolutely loaded lineup. I feel like 1 through 13, we could beat most teams just off our lineup. But we have a young pitching staff. They're figuring it out, but we have some guys that look like they could be some gems this year. So I'm really excited. I'm trying to win another LEAC championship. That's our conference. I'm trying to win that. I'm trying to go to a regional, hopefully host a regional. Because I remember my first year at Wayne State, we hosted a regional, and it was nothing like it. It was honestly the coolest experience because you had all these different fans pulling up from this school's hometown, this school, and coming to your school to make one big baseball experience and tournament that at that level you don't necessarily get to see all the time. So I'm trying to do that and hopefully make a World Series run. I that's my main goal. That's the one thing I've always wanted to do was make it to Cary, North Carolina at the end of the school at the end of the year. So I'm just hopefully helping my team be in that right position as the center fielder and making sure that we can put ourselves in the best position to win the title this year.
Well, and with having that split last weekend and having that opportunity to learn more about yourselves, what do you feel like is the identity of the team that you're on right now?
Mm. I think we're best way to put it, we're some idiots and we gotta kind of embrace it. Like we are some loose cannons, we are some funny guys, we are some serious guys, but we gotta mold our identity into one. And I think that's really what the identity is. Like, let's play free, let's play loose, let's be silly, and everything else will go the right way. Like, I feel like that first game we were very tense, and I'm not gonna lie, we got beat up a little bit. But after that, that next day, we knew to come with that fire. We were having fun, we were joking, and that's us. That's how it is at Wayne State. I would feel like it's a very laid back place amongst the players, but we're very serious as soon as we step on that dirt. So being able to be the best of both worlds is what's going to make us our best this year.
And Jacoby, one last question here before I let you get back to it. Those goals that you talked about team-wise for the season, being this year, last year, are there any just personal goals, things you're trying to achieve before you leave Wayne State? And is there any kind of mark that you're really trying to leave on the Warrior program?
Ooh. This year, I mean, I have a lot of lofty goals for myself. I'm just praying I can just attack them all. But one would be to be all conference. Another would be to put myself in position to like break the stolen base record. It's loft. That's a very lofty goal, but I just got to go out there and run. I want to finish the year with no errors, potentially work my way for a national gold glove. Um, I just want to win. That's really all it is. If I can win and be a better version of myself every day, I'm cool with that too. Like I don't want to get too caught up this year, especially this year, with how the play goes every day. I want to be able to wash stuff and just keep moving forward because that's how I obtain those goals. Because I'm free, I'm loose. I'm just playing the game and playing with my instincts and my abilities.
Jacoby, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Kobe. I appreciate you, my guy.